Hello and welcome. You're watching Midday News with me, Aishwarya Kapoor. Let's take a look at the headlines first. CBI Special Court acquits all the accused in 2G spectrum allocation case. Judge O.P. Saini says prosecution has failed to prove any charge against the accused. Rajya Sabha witnesses yet another day of protests. Opposition Congress seeks Prime Minister's clarification on election remarks against Manmohan Singh. Chairman says House will not go into the merits of the case. Parliamentary Affairs Minister Anand Kumar says the bill on triple talaq will be tabled in Parliament on Friday. Bill gives women right to seek maintenance in case of a triple talaq. Voting for assembly by polls underway on 5 seats in 4 states. Polls being held to R.K. Nagar assembly seats in Tamil Nadu, Sabang in West Bengal, Sikandra in Uttar Pradesh and 2 seats in Arunachal Pradesh. And US President Donald Trump threatens to cut financial aid to countries that back a United Nations resolution opposing recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital. Voting on resolution at the emergency UN session later today. First up, news from Parliament, where Rajya Sabha on Thursday saw protests by the opposition Congress over the issue of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's comments against former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh during the recently concluded Assembly election campaign. Leader of the opposition in the upper house raised the issue, seeking the Prime Minister's clarification on what he had said were false allegations levelled by the Prime Minister. The chairman said that the House will not go into the merits of the case.
जो उन्होंने मनमोहन सिंह जी के और दूसरे बारे में उन्होंने इलेक्शन में बताया था, उसको मैं बार-बार दोहराना नहीं चाहता, उसको स्पष्टीकरण कहना चाहिए, करना चाहिए कि इनका वो झूठा आरोप था, वो सच आरोप नहीं था, वो स्पष्टीकरण।
We are not going into merits, please.
ओके, गलत आरोप था, झूठा अगर ठीक नहीं है, गलत आरोप था।
झूठा है, गलत है, ऐसा नहीं है।
गुलाम उसके बाद बोलिए। आपको किसने मना से सेशन नहीं चल रहा है पार्लियामेंट का, पार्लियामेंट की फिर सी बात की जुड़ी आदत है, उसी बात को बार-बार रिपीट करना, सेशन नहीं चलेगा तो पार्लियामेंट में आएंगे कैसे? हमें बोलने दी, बहुत बैठिए। मैं कोई ऐसी अनपार्लियामेंट्री, मैं कोई अनपार्लियामेंट्री शब्द आज मैं पीएम के बारे में कहूंगा, किसी लीडर के बारे में, देन यू कैन हैव ऑब्जेक्शन।
अब लोग सुनने के लिए तैयार नहीं तो फिर I am adjourning the House to 2 p.m. today. The House is adjourned to 2 p.m. today.
All right, my colleague Kriti Mishra is now joining us live from Parliament. Kriti, now Rajya Sabha has been adjourned till 2 p.m. amid the uproar that we saw in the House today. Now, Congress wants Prime Minister Modi's clarification on his remark against Manmohan Singh. But, you know, there are 3 key bills they were listed for the day today. How can you expect this stalemate to end?
Right, Aishwarya. So after the House conducted formal business, Leader of Opposition Ghulam Nabi Azad raised 2 specific points. One, he demanded and reiterated Congress Party's demand of clarification by Prime Minister over his alleged remarks against former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh during election rallies in Gujarat. And secondly, he also tried to ring in another issue. But since there was no formal notice for it and the rules did not permit the admissibility of any such issue, the chairman urged the members to take up 0 hour. So the first 0 hour submission was to be made by Congress MP Pramod Tiwari, but since he did not make it, the chairman then called out Ram Gopal Yadav to make his 0 hour submission. But after that, the Congress members resorted to slogan airing. Thereafter, chairman quoted the former Vice President and Chairman of the House, Shankar Dayal Sharma, and said that democracy works by rules and not by shouting. If you want to massacre democracy, I am not going to be the party of it. So unquote. And thereafter, chairman also said that 3/4 of the House wants to discuss issues of national importance and want to raise specific issues, but the agitating members are disturbing everyone. He also urged the agitating members to follow and also observe Maryada. Thereafter, he also reminded the members that he had suggested an amicable solution to forge a truce between the two sides. But clearly that didn't work out. So certainly the chair was compelled to adjourn the House till 2 p.m. So it remains to be seen how the day progresses, whether the important short duration discussion on future of sports in India could be taken up in the post-lunch session. But Aishwarya, thereafter, a full-blown war of words was ensued in Parliament premises between the Congress and the BJP over 2G verdict. So outside the House, speaking to the media persons, Leader of Opposition Ghulam Nabi Azad said that it was moral victory for them, and also stressed that their theory of notional loss stands endorsed. But thereafter, Finance Minister Arun Jaitely came and spoke to the media and said that the Congress shouldn't wear this verdict as a badge of honor, and the entire premise of auction was based on unfair practices. And thereafter, when the auction took place during NDA's regime, greater pecuniary benefits were accrued to the government. So certainly it remains to be seen how the day progresses now. Aishwarya?
Absolutely, and you just mentioned that there will be a short duration discussion also at 2 p.m. that will be initiated by Sachin Tendulkar. We have to wait and watch whether that takes place today or not. But speaking about Lok Sabha, Kriti, what can we expect today? And as far as tomorrow, a very important bill on triple talaq is going to be tabled tomorrow. And we understand that the BJP has issued a whip for all the MPs to be present in the House tomorrow.
That's right, Aishwarya. So all eyes would be on Lok Sabha. Of course, today also there are important supplementary demands for grants and also appropriation bills. We would be closely following that. And tomorrow, certainly, as you said, the BJP has issued the whip. So this bill is going to come. This is, as the government says, this is very important bill for the empowerment of Muslim women particularly. Yes. So certainly it remains to be seen how the day progresses tomorrow. Aishwarya?
Right, Kriti. Thank you so much for all those updates from Parliament there. And in the Lok Sabha today, the Congress raised the issue of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's remarks against his former predecessor Manmohan Singh. The Speaker did not allow the Congress to raise the issue. The party, however, raised the matter for the 4th straight day. Now, the opposition members trooped to the well of the House during question hour and raised slogans, but the Speaker went ahead with the proceedings. In little over 30 minutes into the question hour, Congress leader Jyotiraditya Scindia raised serious concern about not being given a chance to raise the issue. As the protest continued, Mahajan said that she would not allow them and asserted that the issue was something that was raised at a public meeting and this was an elected house. And Parliamentary Affairs Minister Anand Kumar has said that the bill on a triple talaq will be tabled in Parliament on Friday. The Cabinet had given a nod to the draft law which seeks to make the practice of instant triple talaq illegal and void and provides for a jail term for the husband. Remember, the Supreme Court had on August 22nd struck down triple talaq, calling the practice unconstitutional.
नहीं वो सर्कुलेट हो चुका है, कल होगा.
And the biggest story of the day, former telecom minister A. Rajya and DMK MP Kanimori were today acquitted by a special court in Delhi in cases related to the 2G spectrum allocation. The special court was hearing 3 cases, 2 filed by the CBI against individuals and companies and 1 filed by the ED. Now, one case filed by the CBI had 17 accused, including A. Rajya and Kanimori, while the case filed by the Enforcement Directorate had named 10 individuals and 9 companies as accused. Now, delivering the much-awaited verdict, the CBI Judge O.P. Seni said, and I quote him now, I have absolutely no hesitation in holding that prosecution has miserably failed to prove any charge against any accused. The CBI, remember, in its charge sheet had alleged that there was a loss of 30,984 crore rupees to the exchequer in the allocation of 122 licenses for 2G spectrum, which was scrapped by the Supreme Court on 2nd of February 2012. The ED had accused individuals and companies for offences under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. Now, PTI is quoting sources as saying that the Enforcement Directorate will appeal against the special court verdict. The CBI has said that it will study the judgment and decide on the future course of action. And Finance Minister Arun Jaitly reacted to the judgment, saying that the 2G allocation was corrupt and dishonest policy of the previous UPA regime. This version has already been upheld by the Supreme Court in 2012 when the allocation of 122 licenses for the 2G spectrum was scrapped.
This was a corrupt, dishonest policy, has already been upheld by the Supreme Court in February 2012. Each and every case of spectrum allocation was quashed by the Supreme Court as arbitrary and unfair.
On the other hand, celebrations broke out outside the court premises by supporters of A. Rajya and Kanimori. Reacting to the judgment, both DMK and Congress leaders said that the truth has prevailed.
And I love to thank everybody who stood by me, my family, my husband, my party, the across the party who understood.
I think the court's judgment has to be respected, and I'm glad that the court has pronounced unambiguously that all this massive propaganda which was being done against the UPA was without any foundation.
मुझ पे एक आरोप लगाया कि मैं गलत बयानी कर रहा हूं कि विनोद राय जी जैसे भगवान हैं, उन्होंने कह दिया कि 1,76,000 करोड़ का प्रिजम्पटिव लॉस है तो वो सही है, लेकिन मैं अपनी बात पे अटल रहा और आज तक कहता रहा कि नहीं कोई लॉस नहीं हुआ। आज अदालत ने सिद्ध कर दिया कि कोई करप्शन नहीं था और कोई लॉस नहीं था।
I have never commented on this case when this case was going on, and I don't think I should comment now. But one thing is clear, that the allegation of a major scam involving the highest levels of government was never true, was not correct. That has been established today.
All right, let's get a perspective on the story. Aruna is now joining us live for more details. Aruna, major verdict today. All the 2G scam accused have been acquitted by the special court. Just break it down for us. Take us through the judgment.
Yeah, Aishwarya, since morning we are here from 9 o'clock. So till now you can see the crowd which is there in front of the Patiala House Court. And in the morning around before 11:15 the judgment was released, and it was announced that all the accused in this case are acquitted just because the CBI has miserably failed to prove its charges. So we have to look into this, that the miserably word has been used by the judge O.P. Saini, and it is likely that the CBI is not happy with the judgment, but still they are hoping that they will appeal after reading, because it's a 2,000-page verdict, and the judgment is in full detail. So the lawyers and other officials are reading out the judgment, and after that the CBI will appeal in the High Court, which will take into future course.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But looking at the reactions of the political parties, of course, the DMK as well as Congress have been buoyed by the entire verdict, saying that the entire case was a conspiracy, a propaganda. But Arun Jaitly, they're clearly saying that there was no reason for Congress to cheer.
As of now, it is a political, you can say a political, I cannot comment on this political aspect, but still there is a political win from the UPA government, because the election which fought in 2014 by the BJP, it was the main issue against the Congress government, because this case was very highlighted by the media, and because it was a multi-crore scam in the UPA government. So as of now, we can say that it's a happy news for the Congress party.
But at the same time, of course, the blanket
and the
acquittals.
Political leaders who are there, who are involved in this case.
Absolutely. But the blanket acquittals are definitely dramatic because the Supreme Court had in 2012 cancelled the 2G telecom licenses issued under the process. So what happens to these licenses also? That also remains a key question. Thank you so much, Aruna, for all those details there. So this is one big story that we'll keep tracking through the day today. But time for a very short break. We'll be back with more news.
Ustad Bismillah Khan, the legendary maestro who brought Shehnai to the center stage of Indian classical music in 1937. With his heart-touching rendering of Rag Rafi, Ustad mesmerized millions of hearts on the eve of the First Republic Day. But most significant was when India achieved independence, and Bismillah Khan performed from the ramparts of the Red Fort on 15th August 1947. Ustad Bismillah Khan was awarded India's highest civilian award, Bharat Ratna.
Art arisen from a multi-hued cultural canvas. Tradition and cultural fervor dating back centuries. And encircling them all, there's a magic that awes. Embrace your nation's brilliant human warmth. Watch Colours of India, Sundays at 9:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
Mihir Sen, an outstanding and extraordinary saltwater swimmer of India. He's the first Asian to swim the English Channel way back in 1958. And just 8 years later, in 1966, he swam the 7 seas of the 5 continents in 1 calendar year, which etched his name in the Guinness Book of World Records. In 1959, he was also conferred the Padma Shri, and in 1967, he was awarded the Padma Bhushan.
Welcome back after the break. Now, voting for the Assembly by-polls are underway on 5 seats in 4 states, including the R.K. Nagar Assembly constituency in Tamil Nadu, Sabang in West Bengal, Sikandra in Uttar Pradesh, and 2 seats, Pakekisang and Likabali in Arunachal Pradesh. The by-poll to R.K. Nagar Assembly constituency in Chennai was necessitated by the death of former Tamil Nadu Chief Minister J. Jayalalitha, who represented the constituency twice before her death on 5th of December last year. The voting for the high-stakes by-polls in 2 assembly constituencies of Arunachal Pradesh, namely Pakekisang and Likabali, began at 7 in the morning. The Likabali seat had fallen vacant after the State Health and Family Welfare Minister, Jom Dekena, passed away this year. And the Pakekisang fell vacant after the Guwahati High Court declared null and void the election of Kameng Dolo in the 2014 polls following a petition. And voting for the Sabang Assembly by-election also began on a dull note today, with just 15% exercising their franchise in the first 2 hours. The by-election here was necessitated as its candidate was elected to the Rajya Sabha on a TMC ticket. Meanwhile, the Sikandra Assembly seat in Kanpur Dehat district of Uttar Pradesh fell vacant after the sitting BJP MLA Mathura Prasad Pal died on 22nd of July after a prolonged illness. In all, there are 12 candidates in the fray, and the counting of votes will be held on 24th of December. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu was the chief guest at the presentation of 12th Ramnath Goenka Excellence in Journalism Awards at the National Capital on Wednesday. Addressing the gathering, Vice President said that democracy is not only about numbers but also to understand and appreciate each other's point of view. He stressed that people must debate, discuss, decide and deliver.
Delivering the keynote address at the presentation of the 12th Ramnath Goenka Excellence in Journalism Awards on Wednesday, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu said that discussion, dialogue, reconciling seemingly irreconcilable differences to achieve consensus are fundamental to the vibrancy and health of parliamentary democracy. He also said that in democracy, people have to make informed choices about parties and candidates.
The people of the country, they are expecting a better performance. Their aspirations, their hopes are high. India is now being recognized and respected worldwide. So with that respect and all, we must show that we are a mature democracy. Nothing wrong. I always believe that the opposition must have its say in a democracy. And the government must have its way because they have the numbers.
The Vice President also stressed that media's role should be empowerment of people, catalyzing individual and collective actions for betterment of lives and promoting peace and harmony and supporting national reconstruction. Every news and report must result in enhanced level of understanding and inspired actions.
The media became a powerful tool in the hands of people then because people could not express themselves through the established organs of power as they were in the hands of feudal and despotic rulers. It is for this reason that the print media became known as the Fourth Estate.
India ranked 133 among 180 countries in 2016 World Press Freedom Index. The Vice President said that at one level, India has the most vibrant and free media in the region, but still there are some issues impacting the Freedom Index. He urged everyone to address this issue and enhance the Press Freedom Index by strengthening media independence, ensuring plurality of media and transparent flow of information. 26 journalists were awarded in 25 categories in print and broadcast for outstanding work done in the year 2016. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Let's get to some international news. US President Donald Trump has hailed sweeping tax reforms after they were given final approval by the Congress despite fierce criticism by Democrats. He thanked congressional leaders for pushing through what he called the largest tax cut in the history of our country. Because of a procedural glitch, the tax bill had to be voted on for a second time in the House of Representatives. Republicans have majorities in both houses of Congress. Now, after the passage of bill in both the houses, President Donald Trump will be signing the bill into law in the coming days. He has promised to do so before Christmas. Now, the bill slashes the taxes for corporations and the wealthy while offering mixed temporary relief for working people. However, Democrats have labelled the bill as government for sale.
These are the people right behind me. They've worked so long, so hard. It's been an amazing experience, I have to tell you. Hasn't been done in 34 years, but actually really hasn't been done because we broke every record. It's the largest, I always say the most massive, but it's the largest tax cut in the history of our country. And reform, but tax cut. Really something special.
People are going to get tax increases. And second, the average American says, even if I get a $100 tax decrease, why is a wealthy person getting a $50,000 tax decrease? The decrease should go to the middle class and people trying to get there, not to wealthy people, and that's why the bill is so unpopular. They know what this bill is all about. They know they're getting crumbs, if that, while the wealthy are getting big pieces of cake.
And US President Donald Trump has threatened to cut off financial aid to countries that back a UN resolution opposing the recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital. Now, Trump's comments came ahead of a UN General Assembly vote today on a resolution opposing any recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital. The 193-member assembly will hold the rare emergency special session at the request of Arab and Muslim states. The draft resolution does not mention the United States but says that any decisions on Jerusalem should be cancelled. Earlier, UN Ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, warned the member states that President Donald Trump has asked her to report on who votes against us. The UN General Assembly vote comes after the US vetoed a Security Council resolution that was critical of the White House's unilateral move to recognize the city as Israel's capital. Haley cast the veto despite other 14 members of the Security Council voting in favor.
For all of these nations that take our money and then they vote against us at the Security Council, or they vote against us potentially at the Assembly. They take hundreds of millions of dollars and even billions of dollars and then they vote against us. Well, we're watching those votes. Let them vote against us. We'll save a lot. We don't care.
And that's it in this edition of News. Thanks for watching.